guys, and welcome back to Missing Piece. We are at week 6. So I'm going to jump right in. What would you do if I told you you only need to worry about 2 things for the whole rest of your life? 2 things, and everything else would take care of themselves. Sounds simplistic, right? Sounds impossible. But I want to show you how true it is, and I will admit to you also that I am learning this right along with you. Um, I've been out of town for about 10 days. I got to go to a writers conference in Austin, Texas, and then go visit my sisters in Dallas, Texas. And I got to spend time with my niece and nephews and my parents and my brothers-in-laws, and it was a wonderful, wonderful time. Well, last night, after 13 hours of traveling, including lost luggage, missed connections, delayed flights, I finally made it home, and as soon as I stepped across my threshold, what happens to me every time after I go out of town, I instantly felt overwhelmed with everything I needed to do. There was so much to catch up on in article writing and correspondence. There was the house that needed to be cleaned, the dog that hadn't had a nice long walk in 10 days, conversations I hadn't had with my husband, um, bills that needed to be paid as we come up to the first of the month, videos that needed to be recorded, my blog needed to be updated, I needed to unpack and do laundry. And I'm sure you can sympathize. There have been those times when you come back from any wonderful vacation and it's like stepping on a moving treadmill. It's horrible. Well, personally, I usually burst into tears, which is just what I did last night. My poor husband. But then, last night as I went to bed, I picked up this pamphlet that my sister gave me, written by her husband's grandfather. His name is Marvin Martin, and the pamphlet, he is a pastor, and he does a number of different publications, but this particular pamphlet is called Living in the Kingdom of God Now, which I thought was especially ironic because this theme keeps coming up in a lot of my Bible studies and the sermons I've been listening to. But last night it struck me really close to home, and I wanted to share this with you. Um, he says here, as he is, this caption is Generation 3, A Time to Teach. After many months of asking directions from God and praying, I was awakened early one morning shortly before reaching age 65 with a sense of peace and a voice saying, "Your assignment for the rest of your life is simply to love people and to love me." That's it. Those are your 2 things. Keep that in mind. To love God and to love people. Instantly, as I was laying in bed, my mind rumbled back to all of those things that I needed to do, needed to catch up on. And I was like, Lord, what about all these other things? If I'm only worried about loving you and loving people, who's going to take care of my finances? And what happens with how do I have time to focus on my physical health and my body and my diet and my recovery and leading Bible studies and starting a support group and nurturing my marriage if I'm only focused on these 2 things? And then I thought, well, maybe it's when I'm after 65, when I'm retired and I'm old, then I can slow down and just focus on relationships, on loving God and loving people. Well, the next page, this is Marvin Martin again. It now seems apparent that the words I heard that morning on May 7th, 1990, at age 64, has really been my assignment for all my life. It's just that, it seemed so humbling and so simple when I started life wanting to do something that would be significant and history-changing. Um, so, quickly I want to relate this to our eating disorders or our addictions. Generally, these things are either our way of coping with anxiety or a feeling of inadequacy, that we're not doing enough, that we're not being enough, that we're not performing well enough. And these anxieties also foment within us and distract us from the 2 things, loving God and loving people. So I came to the Lord and I said, but what about all these things? How am I supposed to take care of the rest of real life? How am I supposed to live in this world and take care of all these things if all I'm focused on is loving you and loving people? And he immediately brought me to this verse. It's Matthew 6:33. But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. All these things. And I felt a peace come over me, and God reminded me, all these things means that he is aware of everything I need in this tangible, real life world. He is aware of my desire to have a healthy body, and He is aware of my desire to have my finances under control and to have a clean home and to anything. I'm sorry, I run out of examples, but He knows all of those things that we desire in this world, this here and now. And He's told us anyway to seek Him. And Jesus gave us the commandment to love God and to love others as He has loved us. That's it. Those two things, love God and love people. I want you to think about that this week. What if you let everything else go? All of your anxieties about your addiction, all of your anxiety even about doing recovery well, about putting it all behind you, about being different tomorrow, all of your anxieties about your home and your finances, there's plenty to be worried about. But what if you set that aside and focused on two things? Love God and love people. I think we're going to find there's a whole new level of peace and a whole new level of God's provision that we've never experienced before, because He says all these things will be added to you. So I challenge you, go read Matthew 6, at least the verses 25 through 34. That will give you the perspective on what these things are that He's going to provide for us. And if you'd like any more information on Marvin Martin's publications, I will list some of that beneath this video. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you next Monday. Thanks a lot.